If the first film was the Batman Begins of Sherlock Holmes, does that make this Guy Ritchie's Dark Knight? It's day 144 of 365. Today's movie, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. You don't have to be a world-class detective to see the value of my movie club. It's only $5 a month, and not only do you get these daily reviews, but also monthly deeper dives, and all of that's over on my Patreon at patreon.com/ticketstubmovieclub. This one's directed by Guy Ritchie and stars Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law returning as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. All the love for our steampunk Batman Sherlock Holmes movies. I kind of dig these. I talked about it in the first review, which you can go back and check out, that basically I'll take as many Sherlock Holmes and as many Batman movies every year as possible in as many genres as possible. I love that these are infinitely reinterpretable characters. I really dug that first movie, so when they announced a sequel and it was going to have Moriarty as the bad guy, this was basically my Batman versus Joker movie. What we got is functionally more of the same. It is very note similar to the first movie. There's not a whole lot changed here because the formula works as it is. Guy Ritchie knows how to construct his movie, so there wasn't a lot to need to change up. I had also checked out Snatch in between the first and second Sherlock Holmes movies, so my love for this director had grown some, and I was definitely excited. Revisiting this in 2025, there's a lot that really still charms me here. There's some goofy moments that maybe don't work as well anymore, and compared to the first one, this is probably the weaker of the two, but only by a smidge, in my opinion. There's a lot worth checking out here, so if you've never seen it, here are 3 reasons to watch Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. The first thing that I really dig about this movie is the slow-mo sequence of the escape in France. This is technology, especially from that time, that was just so wild to watch. Now, I was one of those kids that was on YouTube watching the slow-mo guys, and so to see that they were using the same cameras to make these immensely cinematic sequences, it was awesome to watch. But then on my revisit, I recognized that this is how Sherlock Holmes is supposedly seeing the world all the time. He sees it in slow motion. And so to be in this like wild dramatic sequence where he's losing blood, people around him are dying and injured. This is like Sherlock Holmes bullet time, but fear-based. It was really, really interesting to see that they weren't just showing off this technology to make things look cool. And it does look cool, but there's a thematic reason behind it as well. This is a POV for the characters as we're seeing him witness all this happen around him, and the carnage is wild, especially for a PG-13 blockbuster movie. I really, really dug it. It had me at the edge of my seat again, rewatching it all these years later. The second thing that I really dug about the movie, and honestly, I think the reason for the ticket of entry, is the matchups between Sherlock and Moriarty. They top themselves every single time they're in a room together. It doesn't happen often, but it's exactly what you'd want out of your ultimate villain versus ultimate detective matchup. Think about The Dark Knight. They don't put the Joker and Batman in the same room together for a very, very long time. It only happens twice in the movie, so it only happens twice here. The first time is a battle of wits entirely, but it's shot in a way that we as the audience can understand everything that's happening. In their matchup at the end of the film, it goes into Sherlock Holmes mode, detective mode, if you will. And at this point, we understand that his mind is working extremely fast. There's a lot that's happening here, and he's really done a lot to try to keep pace. But then we get the final reveal of the movie. One of my favorite reveals of this era of action movies is Moriarty showing off that he can do this shit too. Now that's cool. That's like almost if the Joker revealed that he learned karate and could physically take on Batman as well as mentally take on Batman. There's something about that that just works so well at the end of this movie, and it's the last slice that we get. There's not anything else to be resolved. They're wrapping up the entire plot in a perfect little bow and showing that because of a physical injury and because of the fact that Moriarty is just as much of a Renaissance man as Sherlock, that they're evenly matched and probably would win this fight at this point. It's at that point that drastic measures have to be taken that take us into the very end of the film. And I love that reveal. I knew it was there because I've seen this movie a bunch of times since it came out, but on the recent rewatch, it just impacted me. They didn't do that at any other point in the movie. At no other point do they show that Moriarty has this kind of slow down brain ability that we've been awing over since the very first film, that reveal just makes him that much more dangerous in the final minutes of the movie. Way to twist the tension right there at the end. I love it. The third and final reason to check this movie out is this is basically the best movie evidence we have for a yaoi ship of Watson and Sherlock. Now, I know that's kind of a wild take, but this movie is very gay-coded. Like, these characters love each other to the degree that Sherlock Holmes' character is having issues with the idea of Jude Law's Watson getting married. Now, he eventually comes to support this, and, like, it's not going to go too deep into it, but exploring, like, the male homoerotic relationship is not weird for Guy Ritchie. This is something he's explored in other movies, including Rock and Rolla, which is another movie that I love from him that's worth checking out. If you're shipping any version of Sherlock and Watson, this is definitely the movie to add to your list because, hey, it's a fun way to read the characters. But what do you think? Did you enjoy this sequel to the original Sherlock Holmes from Guy Ritchie, or did this one not fit your bag? We have one more movie for 2011 of the films that I saw in theaters in that year. It's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol up next, and I'll see you tomorrow.